request to reduce the minimum site width from 200 feet to 164 feet and to encroach 23 feet into the 25-foot side yard setback for an existing barn as a conditional of subdivisional approval for a new lot. And this is for a property zoned RR rural residential zone. We have the mapping there as well as the rural residential bulk table, the subdivision application mapping, as well as the building inspector report dated April the 12th. Your council, I have taken the necessary time to gather the information in regards to roll number 211135 at 52 Riverland Road North and their application for a variance request for a property zoned RR rural residential zone. The variation is to reduce the minimum side width of 200 feet to 164 feet and to encroach 23 feet into the 25-foot side yard setback for an existing barn. No correspondence was received from the public indicating they have issues with the variation as requested. As building inspector for the Lac du Bonnet Planning District, I recommend approving the variation as presented. We also have the administrative report, the submitted from the development side. The proposed variances have been reviewed and are required condition of a subdivision approval file 4139-25-7858. Administration has no concerns that the existing barn has been in place for approximately 40 years and is used solely for storage purposes with no livestock present, therefore recommend approving the variances proposed. Do we have someone here that wants to speak to this? Edward and Helen Martins? No. And the applicant was Allison Drager. Okay. Is anybody here to speak against this? Anybody online? Allison, I see yours on there.
I'm here. I can answer any questions, but.
Okay. Have we missed anything? Do you want to add anything to that, what's already been said?
Nope, it all sounded good.
Thank you. Okay, any questions at all, council? Okay. No, thank you. Thank you very much for the application, Allison, and we'll, if you want to stick around, we'll deal with that after the end of the public hearing section here.
Thank you.
5.2 is the public hearing into schedule for 3:05, and we're right on time. This is variation order 26-02 at 38 Harding Crescent, lot 61, block 0, plan 153, southeast 21-15-12 EPM. And it's varied to encroach 7 feet into the maximum 20-foot width along shoreline for the deck, 4 foot for the boathouse, increase the maximum of 520 square feet to 760 square feet for a boathouse, and increase the height from 15 feet to an 18-foot monopitch roof to allow for a new boathouse, shore deck, and dock. And this is in a property zone OS, open space shoreline zone. And we have the appropriate mapping there. The open space shoreline bulk table, as well as the overhead imagery of the lot and its location. The building inspector report dated April the 12th, taking the necessary time to gather the information in regards to roll number 279165-38 Harding Crescent and their application for a variance request for a property zone OS open space shoreline zone. The variation is to encroach 4 feet into the maximum 20-foot width along the shoreline and to increase the maximum 520 square foot to 768 square feet for a boathouse and shore deck. No correspondence was received from the public indicating they have issues with the variation as requested. As building inspector for the Lac du Bonnet Planning District, I recommend approving the variation as presented. We also have the administrative report indicating I have reviewed the proposed variances to increase shoreline's deck maximum size and width. The property consists of 2 consolidated lots with over 100 feet of shoreline. We have no concerns and recommend approving the variances as proposed. And do we have a Mr. Tipper, Aaron Tipper?
Yes, hello. My name is Damien Dragney. I'm here from Trippier Law on Mr. Trippier's behalf. He couldn't make it today on account of being in court. I'm sorry.
Okay, is there anything you'd like to add to the application, sir?
I did join 1 minute late. I believe that there is nothing to add at this time. Our client informs us that if it is impossible to improve at the current dimensions, he would be willing to scale it down to the 18 feet. As we are aware, the current drawings as drawn up by our engineers were 18 feet at the tall wall, but in fact they extend to 20 feet and 9 inches, all inclusive of the roof and whatever else they added there. Again, my client is willing to scale that down if necessary. However, he'd prefer not to have to reseal and redraw the plans.
Okay, thank you. And you're not gonna bill him for that 1 minute that you were late, right?
Hopefully not, considering that he's my boss.
Just asking a question, that's all, sir. Thank you. Thank you for that, and I don't think that, is there anybody here to speak against this application, variation? No, thank you for that, sir. I don't think that there'll be a problem. If you want to sit in and wait till the end, we can certainly, or your client will be notified then certainly, of the approval as well, through the planning department, okay? Thank you for joining us today.
Of course, thank you very much.
You have a question?
I do have a question. So for clarity, the two lots are consolidated, so this is gonna sit in front of the two consolidated.
Yeah,
Okay.
like that, in that subdivision, most of the lots in there are 50 feet wide,
Yeah,
this one is over 100.
and it's consolidated under one title?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
if you look at the ones to the north, Cindy, and the ones to the south,
Yeah.
how much smaller they are.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah,
was just
that's-
curious because the proposed structure is going to sit in between the two property lines,
Well, kind of in between, a little bit over more south, but
but it still abuts the two properties.
it's in the middle, yeah. Like
But
it's
those two
within
are
the sight lines,
consolidated.
yeah, the hydro sight lines, yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
those two are consolidated.
absolutely.
Okay. Okay, that was my only concern.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for the questions. And 5.3 is the notice of public hearing for a variance order 2603 at 84 Lagsden Way, lot 0, block 0, plan 0, northeast 8-16-12 APM. And it's a variation to encroach 36 feet into the minimum side yard to move an existing shed in order to construct a new shed and next to the existing shed, to allow for the existing shed to be moved over and to construct that new building. This is in a property zone Ag 40 limited agricultural zone. We have the Ag 40 limited bulk table enclosed, as well as the imagery for the information of council, as well as the building inspector's report. I have taken the necessary time to gather the information in regards to roll number 297-400 at 84 Lagsden Way and their application for a variance request for a property zone 840 limited agricultural zone. The variation is to encroach 36 feet into the minimum side yard to move an existing shed in order to construct a new shed. No correspondence was received from the public indicating they have issues with the variance. Variation is requested as building inspector for the Lac du Bonnet Planning District. I recommend approving the variation as presented. As well as the administrative board, I've taken necessary time to review the attached proposed variance to encroach into the side yard setback 36 feet to move over an existing shed and to construct a new one. The property is owned Ag 40 and 188 acres, and I see no conflict with the road as it would still be 89 feet back, and recommend approving the variances as proposed. Is there anyone online that wishes to speak to this? Or is there anyone online or present that wants to oppose the variation request? Okay, thank you. And we will adjourn the public hearing, and that resolution is moved by Councillor Easton, second by Councillor Kellendon. Be it resolved that council adjourns the public hearing for April 14th, 2026. We reconvene to the regular council meeting at 3:12 p.m. Those in favor? Aye, carried. Thank you. 7.1 is these decisions for variation order 2601 at 52 Riverland Road, and that resolution is moved by Deputy Reed Mansell, second by Councillor Kellendon. Whereas the applicants of 52 Riverland Road have made application for property described as in the northwest of sections 26 Township 15 Range 11 EPM in the rural municipality of Lac du Bonnet under Part 6, Section 102 of the Planning Act. to the rural municipality of Lac du Bonnet Conditional Use Board to vary the established requirements in RR rural residential zone for the rural municipality of Lac du Bonnet, bylaw number 19-03. Therefore, be it resolved that BO 26-01 for roll number 21135 vary to reduce the minimum site width from 200 feet to 164 feet and to encroach 23 feet into the minimum 25-foot side yard setbacks for an existing structure to remain all as a condition of subdivision approval for a property zone RR rural residential be hereby approved. Any questions at all, council, on that? Call for the vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, carried. Thank you. 7.2 is the decision for VO 2602 38 Harding Crescent, and that resolution is moved by Deputy Reed Manzik, seconded by Councilor Easton. Whereas the applicants of 38 Harding Crescents have made application for property described as in the southeast of sections 21, Township 15, Range 12 BPM in the rural municipality of Lac du Bonnet under Part 6, Section 102 of the Planning Act, to the rural municipality of Lac du Bonnet Variation Board to vary the established requirements in OS open space shoreline zone for the rural municipality of Lac du Bonnet bylaw number 1903. Therefore, be it resolved that VO 26-02 for roll number 279165 vary to encroach 7 feet into the minimum 20-foot width along the shoreline for a deck and a 4-foot for the boathouse, and to increase the maximum of 520 square feet to 768 square feet for a boathouse, and to increase the maximum height from 15 feet to 18 feet for a mono pitch roof for a property zone OS open space shoreline zone be hereby approved. Any questions at all, council? Call for the vote. Those in favor? Aye, thank you. And thank you. You can pass that on to your client then, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. If I may, just one question on the approval.
Yes, sir.
I wish to clarify to be certain, the drawings are 20 feet and 9 inches total. Is this approval okay for the plans as they have been drafted and provided to the RM?
Well, they were 18 feet in the first drawing? Or were they
Correct.
20 feet?
The plans were labeled as 18 feet, and the plans provided that were stamped by the engineer, including the ones provided at as of February 19th, were 18 feet as of the tall wall, and then they added some amount on top that was just roof and rafter.
Yeah, that would be fine. It's just to the actual pitch, the mono pitch.
Okay.
Thank you very much. That's all my questions.
Thank you, sir. Have a good day. Thanks for joining us. 7.3
You too, thank
is the decision of 84 Langdon Way, roll number 2974,000, and that resolution is moved by Councillor Kellogg, seconded by Councillor Easton. Whereas the applicants of 84 Langston Way have made application for property described as in the northeast of sections 8, Township 16, Range 12 BPM in the rural municipality of Lac du Bonnet under Part 6, Section 102 of the Planning Act, to the rural municipality of Lac du Bonnet Variation Board to vary the established requirements in Ag 40 Limited Agricultural Zone for the rural municipality of Lac du Bonnet bylaw number 19-03. Therefore, be it resolved that VO 2603 for the roll number 297-400 to encroach 36 feet into the minimum side yard setback of 125 feet to allow for the existing shed to be moved over and to construct a new shed beside it for a property zone Ag 40 Limited Agricultural Zone be hereby approved. Those in favor? Aye, carried. Thank you. And that brings us to the conclusion of those hearings, the public hearings, and we'll move on to adoption of the minutes, and that resolution is moved by Deputy Reed Manzik, second by Councillor Kellogg. Be it resolved that the following meeting minutes be hereby adopted: the March 24th, 2026 regular council meeting, the March 24th, 2026 bylaw enforcement hearing, the April 8th, 2026 special meeting, and the April 8th, 2026 special meeting on the 2026 financial plan public hearing. And those minutes are all included there for the information of the public. And any questions at all, council? Call for the vote. Those in favor? Aye. Carried. Thank you. 10.1 is the approval of the accounts, and that resolution is moved by Deputy Reed Manzik, second by Councillor Kellogg. Be it resolved that the total amount of $398,940.66 from checks numbers 2026-0215 through 2026-0257 and EFT payroll checks for 260,305 through 260,360 inclusive, which includes the following amounts: general checks in the amount of 307,447.14, EFT withdrawals and payments of 18,328.61, and payroll of 73,164.91 be hereby approved for payment. Cancel checks number 20260,253 and 20260,0256 are included in that. Any questions at all on the approval of the accounts?
No.
I'll call for the vote. Those in favor? Aye, carried, thank you. 10.2 is the council expense claims, and that resolution is moved by Deputy Reed Mazick, seconded by Councillor Easton. Be it resolved that council indemnities and expenses for the month of March 2026 are approved as presented and authorized for payment. And we have those included for the information of the public. Any questions at all on those, council?
No.
Call for the vote. Those in favor? Aye, carried, thank you. 11.1 is the adoption of the 2026 financial plan. And we have that plan there, and that resolution is moved by Deputy Reed Mazick, second by Councillor Kellendorf. Whereas the Council of the Rural Municipality of Lac du Bonnet has reviewed the proposed financial plan for the fiscal year 2026. And whereas the financial plan has been prepared in accordance with the requirements of the Municipal Act and reflects the anticipated revenues and expenditures of the municipality. Therefore, be it resolved that council hereby adopts the financial plan for the fiscal year 2026 as presented. Any discussion, questions on that, council?
Other than it was, again, a challenging process with all the increases we are facing. And still trying to adjust with the assessment increases from last year. And everybody went through this thoroughly, repeatedly, challenging each other, and it was a tough budget, but we got it done.
Well, I really like to thank the staff, because there were many discussions on the costing analysis and those, and we're still going through some of those processes, certainly. We really hope that the province comes forward with something on the disaster financial assistance side, on the payment side, that is a significant percentage, not a 50% of the 1.5 million, because that'll impact us significantly as well. So, there'll be ongoing discussions, certainly with the Minister of Finance and other EMO officials on that as it moves forward. But certainly I'd like to thank our staff and the executive here, all the council for their input into the process, and as well as the participation of the public in this process, because this was a difficult one to really reconcile and come up with something that's balanced. And I'd also like to say that on the heels of this, we received $400,000 from the province for the airport projects that had been identified through that master plan process, and some of the costing that we broke down further, because that was a 60,000 foot view of the master plan, which had some significant numbers in it that simply are unattainable.
Mhm.
And that was passed on to the province, and the $400,000 will go a long ways to, improving the infrastructure at the airport. And I know the Regional Airport Authority Board is working its way. We actually have a meeting on Monday to become self-sustaining at that facility. And with the increased economic spin-offs, the increased building that's going on there, I really think, and I've had discussions again with the chairperson of the Regional Airport Authority, that is something that needs to occur sooner than later. We have a number of businesses that are very actively looking at building there, and it really is a key economic facility. We're also moving forward with the development under the land use policy side of something specific for the airport. I was discussing it with the CAO this morning on how that all hinges around the airport. We're also applying for some federal grant funding to enhance the runway facility there, because it's a major investment, certainly economically. But I've always argued that our airport feeds the northern airports. It's a critical component in the wildfire processes throughout the province. It's a critical component for many remote northern communities. And when you have the province investing millions of dollars in the northern regional airports, we shouldn't be treated any differently. And I don't know if they gave me the $400,000 or the airport $400,000 because I've been ad nauseum talking to various ministers about it, just to try and keep me quiet. But I told them this is just phase one, so we're gonna go for phase two after this, so. But it's, we really appreciate that funding, needless to say, I know council is very happy with it as well. Deputy Reed Manzik?
And I guess it goes without saying, but we should say it anyhow, you know, you believe that you can plan ahead for disasters like what happened last year, but you never really plan enough. And I guess if we weren't in a good financial position, and I could never imagine how we would have got through last year as a, you know, we dip into our bank account for like $1.5 million. And because of the fire, I don't know if we weren't in such a healthy position. We could have never done that. I don't know how other communities can get through something like that. So it goes without saying that, yeah, it's a tough budget, but the stuff that there's a number of different tentacles, one of them being the airport, in this budget, but it goes without saying that, you know, if we don't have if we are not healthy financially, things like that, like we experienced last year would be 10 times worse. And, we hope that never happens again. But it pays to be in a good, healthy position.
Mhm.
I just want to say too that when we started the process last year on this financial plan, we talked about a number of areas and how to do things differently. And we recognize that the taxes and the assessment that we really have no part of. The assessment process from the province is a separate process that we have no control over. And when the assessment goes up, the thought is that the mill rate should come down correspondingly. And we really tried to do that in this budget. But there's increases here that are beyond our control. I mean, we talked about some of those during the financial hearing where even our local contractors have increased prices and, you know, from a 5% to a 22% range. You know, we're opening tenders today on RFPs for grass mowing and bin hauling. We're trying different approaches. This was a contract negotiation year as well. There's so many impacting things. We had to put another $104,000 into the fuel budget at the last moment, and that really impacted our number because, you know, you're looking at where's fuel going to stop? Is it going to be $3 a liter? When we put that extra revenue in there, you know, we're hoping that it doesn't go that high on at the end of the day. But you prepare for those ultimatums, and I think that leads right into what the Deputy Reeve was saying is, you know, we have the reserves as well that we're correspondingly for future generations looking at. But I mean, it really was a tough process this year, and that unknown of where we are with that $1.5 million is significant to us. And I've talked directly to the finance minister about that. And, you know, ratepayer savings opportunities, I call them RSOs. You know, how can we become more efficient, provide a better service at the same cost? It's all part of that cost analysis. And we're heavily engaged in that. And I really appreciate everybody's questions on that as well, because we're cognizant that everybody out there is stretched to the limit.
Yeah.
And it's certainly no different here. So
Well,
thank you
and
for everybody.
if I can just add one last thing to that, I find it challenging sometimes to explain when I'm challenged on the budget about, you know, you should be cutting this, so you shouldn't be buying that, or, you know, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. It's not like a private corporation or a private business where you determine your budget based on your inputs and your profit margins. We don't have profit margins. We don't work to profit margins. We work to legal obligations to provide a certain level of services. So we don't have that kind of flexibility in many cases. We strive to plan for down the road because we've all had experiences when you don't have that long-term vision, you get caught short, like with the equipment we had the first year we were on council. With having to replace that grader, that should have been part of the capital replacement, that was sidestepped one year. These things are, again, I can't emphasize enough, it's not like a private enterprise where we work towards a certain profit margin. We are obligated to our municipal legal obligations to provide certain services to the community. And that's very much, how we form our budget. And we don't have any control, as you mentioned, over the school taxes and the property assessment. We face so many restrictions when we're working on this. So I think all considered, we came back with a pretty balanced budget.
Well, we are obligated by legislation to have that balanced budget and not to compare apples to apples, because I think every municipality faces unique challenges in its own way.
Yeah.
I'm certainly aware of the tax mill rate increases right across our region. But a comparison of what can we do better, I think that needs to be ongoing, and we're doing that. In many ways, we put the RFPs out, we'll be opening those, and we've got a request for proposals out, will be coming out shortly in relation to, a grader. Can we become more efficient using that public sector? We utilized our public and local contractors extensively last year, and we intend to do that again this year. It's, the projects that are been approved in the budget now, we're gonna get the contractors involved in that. This is what's coming up, and we've done that with wood duct most recently. I mean, local contractors are very experienced. They have a lot of equipment. We don't need to buy the equipment. There's benefits and there's pros and cons in that. There's a balance there, and we understand that. And we're gonna continue to explore that and work with our local contractors. So I just want to say in conclusion, thanks to everybody that had input, and I'll call for the vote. Those in favor? Great discussion on that. 11.2 is the approval to transfer donation to the fire department reserve, and that resolution is moved by Deputy Reed Mazick, second by Councillor Kellogg. Whereas the Community Relations Department of Manitoba Hydro hosted an annual tree decorating contest, and the winning team was Sparkling Tree Squad from the Lac du Bonnet office, was awarded $500 donation to a charity of their choice. How come I wasn't part of that? And whereas the Sparkling Tree Squad selected the arm of Lac du Bonnet with the intent that the donation be directed to the Wildfire Relief Fund. Wow.
Awesome.
Therefore be it resolved, the council, the arm of Lac du Bonnet accepts the donation in the amount of $500 and directs the funds to be allocated to the fire department reserve for future wildfire relief purposes. Well, thank you so very much. Those in favor? All right, Carrie, thank you. 11.3 is the adoption of financial statements, and that resolution is moved by Deputy Reed Mazick, seconded by Councillor Easton. Be it resolved that the financial statements as of February 28, 2026 be hereby adopted as presented and copied to council on March 24th, 2026. And that includes the operating fund balance sheet, the revenue and expenditure recap, the rural utility balance sheet, the rural utility revenue and expenditure recap, the Brookfield balance sheet recap, as well as the Brookfield revenue and expenditures recap, with all of those documents being dated February 28, 2026. Any questions at all on those documents, council? Call for the vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
All right, Carrie, thank you. 12.1 is the adoption of the minutes of Public Works, and that resolution is moved by Deputy Reed Mazick, second by Councillor Kellogg. Be it resolved that the Public Works meeting minutes of March 24, 2026 be hereby adopted. Those in favor? Aye, Carrie, thank you. 12.2 is the gravel roads maintenance policy, and this resolution is moved by Councillor Kellogg, second by Deputy Reed Mazick. Be it resolved that council of the rural municipality of Lac du Bonnet adopt the gravel road maintenance policy as presented and authorize the Director of Public Works to implement and administer the policy effective immediately. And we have the policy there, and the process as well, for the information of the public. And we have had a lot of conversation here about this policy, about the processes of our road maintenance. In some areas, the challenges that we face on the road maintenance, how we can improve that at an efficient, cost-effective fashion. I know there was Manitoba Good Roads had a conference here, a 2-day conference on gravel roads and the application of gravel roads and policies. And we had a very fulsome discussion on that this morning with the Director of Public Works as well. And, you know, we'll continue to move this forward. There's going to be some internal policies and review done as well on this important issue. So I just want to thank Public Works for getting all of this together for us. I know it's been a journey with much input too as well from council. Call for the vote. Those in favor? Aye, carried. Thank you. 12.3 is the 2026 gravel rate hauls, and that resolution is moved by Deputy Reed Manzik, seconded by Councillor Easton. Whereas each year the municipality established hourly rates for our annual gravel haul, and whereas the hourly rate for 2025 was set at $140 per hour tandem axle trailer and $150 per hour for a triple axle trailer. And whereas fuel, equipment repairs, and insurance costs have increased substantially in the last year, therefore be it resolved, the Council of the Rural Municipality of Lac du Bonnet authorized the 26 gravel haul hourly rate be set at $145 per hour for a tandem axle. And is that right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's 150.
no, keep going.
Okay, sorry, I'm getting ahead here. $145 per hour for tandem axle and $155 per hour for a triple axle trailer, plus an additional $7 per hour fuel surcharge. And further be it resolved that the hourly rate begins at the RM gravel pit and ends 15 minutes after the last load is dropped off at the site. We had a huge discussion and an analysis done on the fuel implications and the costs. And we've been in situations where surrounding municipalities left us real short on our gravel haul in the spring. And that really impacts on a domino effect with a lot of other things, be it dust control, be it the road shaping, all of those things that take place before you actually get into the gravel haul. So this additional $7 per hour in the fuel charge side is significant for the operators, certainly recognizing their increased costs, just as our costs increase on that $104,000 that I've talked about. But this is only applicable to the gravel haul. It's not applicable to the hourly rates that the contractors have submitted through our other processes or our other projects. It's simply for the gravel haul. Comments?
And as we looked at the 2026 rates this year, the averages for the contractors submitted for their hourly tandem and triaxle trailers came in around the 145 and 155 mark. Given what's happened to the economy and globally when it came to fuel and not so much gas, we're talking about the additional diesel fees that are pertaining to our contractors. We want to be that employer of choice for this gravel haul. We always are competing with not only other RMs, but we're competing with highways, depending on what projects are going on, for contractors to perform our gravel haul every spring. The last thing you need is, 3 hourly contractors showing up at the pit on the first day. We need at least 8 to 10 trucks for our gravel haul to make sure that we're as efficient as possible. This hopefully gives us that leeway where contractors will choose the RM to come here and work. But we are always competing with the other entities right now, which makes it hard to swallow when it comes to these fuel charges these days. So that's the bottom line.
Thank you. Thank you. I know that certainly in last year, as an example, we got everything pushed back because ironically, it's 30 days from when we experienced our fire last year on May the 13th, and it really pushed a lot of things back in the municipality. But we want to get things back on track, and this is part of that, recognizing their additional costs as well, and making it viable that we have enough to do the job efficiently and effectively and in a timely fashion. So I'll call for the vote. Those in favor?
Right.
Aye, carried. Thank you. 12.4 is the opening of the tenders for the bin hauling. And that resolution is Durham of Lac du Bonnet placed an advertisement to invite tender submissions to haul refuse to the Leeball landfill located in Leeball, Manitoba, and illegally recycled to the GFL material recovery facility in Winnipeg. And whereas the closing date was April 10th, 2026 at 12:00 p.m. Therefore, be it resolved, the council authorizing the opening of submissions, and further be it resolved that the original be filed in the vault, copies be made to the Public Works Department. Those in favor? Aye, carried. Thank you. Merci. Thank you. I'd like to thank everybody that put these submissions in as well, on the business side. Thank you. Took the time to do that. 12.6 is the approval to repair the 2023 Freightliner bin truck, and that resolution is moved by.
Oh,
You missed 12.5 roadside hauling.
Started wrong, sorry.
Everyone might want to refresh.
Okay, sorry, thank you for that. Opening of the tender for the roadside mooring, and that resolution is moved by. Councilor Easton, second by Deputy Manager, where the Arm of Lac du Bonnet placed an advertisement to invite tender submission for roadside mooring services within municipal boundaries for the 2020 season. And whereas the closing date was April 13th, 2026 at 12:00 p.m. Therefore, be it resolved that council authorize the opening of the submissions, and further be it resolved that the original be filed in the vault and copies be made to the Public Works Department. Those in favor? Aye, carried. Thank you. Sorry about that. Thank you. And thanks to Public Works for all the work on this. I know there was a lot of time and effort put into the preparation of the RF, these and getting them on merch, et cetera, and stuff. And so, and thanks to everyone who submitted, their tenders for the service. Now I'll move on to 12.6. And that's the approval to repair Fleet 144 the 2020 Freightliner bin truck, and that resolution is moved by Deputy Mancic, second by Councilor Easton, whereas the 2020 Freightliner bin truck requires replacement of an exhaust component, and whereas this work would be completed internally, and whereas parts for equipment repair have been budgeted in the 2026 financial plan, therefore be it resolved that council approves repairing the 3144-2020 Freightliner bin truck at a cost of $10,051.69 plus GST. Those in favor? Carried. Thank you. 13.1 is the proposal to subdivide.
Oh, sorry, I was busy writing. I'm gonna declare a conflict of interest.
Okay,
And I
thank
said,
you.
oops, excuse myself.
Okay, so noted. Thank you. And this resolution is moved by Deputy Mancic, second by Councilor Easton, whereas on April 1st, 2026, council received a revised recommendation from the Municipal Relations Community and Regional Planning Branch regarding the application of the proposal to subdivide Southwest Quarter 3116-12 BPM, which lies northwest of the northwestern limit of Water Storage Plant 6052 WLTO in the RM of Lac du Bonnet. Therefore, be it resolved that council has reviewed the recommendations from Community and Regional Planning for subdivision in part of Southwest Order 31-16-12 EPM and instructs the CAO to prepare the necessary documentation and enter into a development agreement and consult with legal counsel to complete the below documentation if necessary. Number one, that a development agreement is entered into with the RM of Lac du Bonnet to limit the development of new habitatable structures on land outside the riparian setback area to be determined by Manitoba Hydro to prohibit the removal of more than 25% of the trees and vegetation cover within the riparian setback to address the details of construction, maintenance, and services of and to the proposed lots, including but not limited to access, emergency services, and water and sewage disposal service, and if necessary, to require rehabilitation of the riparian area. Number two, that 10% of the property development is provided to the RM of Lac du Bonnet in land or cash, or a combination thereof to satisfy municipal needs for recreational opportunities, open space, and buffer zones. And that's under per the Planning Act subsection 135(6)B and 136 sub 1. Fees and charges that relate to technical and administrative professional, consultative, or other services required by the municipality to examine and approve a subdivision application. I know we've received the recommendations from Community and Regional Planning on this issue. They're responsible for the circulation of this proposal. And the recommendations are they're advising not to approve this.
Basically, several comments came up that had to do with the riparian area,
Okay,
flooding, the ability for waste disposal, other issues such as drainage, emergency and municipal services. It's a large number of lots. It's not consistent within the current development plan or a lot of the provincial regulations. So the recommendation against the approval of the proposal, there would be a lot of permits and other things that would, at this time, their recommendation is not to approve this subdivision.
these are remote lots too, we might add,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So it's access and the access to the lots, it's the parking, it's the boat launches, there's many factors here.
Very many things, yes.
Any questions at all, council?
No, but that's where we get our advice from. They're professionals and, you know, they put it out to their departments and this is where all that advice came from, so. I have to agree with that.
Okay, I'll call for the vote. Those in favor? Those opposed? And we'll note that Councillor Calendonk abstained. The conflict of interest. Thank you. So the resolution is defeated. Thank you. Thank planning for all your work on this as well. Okay. 13.2, and we'll do this one, and then I'll have to take a break to do the thing at 4 o'clock. I thought I could make it. We're not going to, so we'll just have to take a 10-minute, 15-minute break to do a Zoom meeting here. 13.2 is the land lease agreement, and that resolution is moved by Deputy Reed Manzik, seconded by Councillor Easton. Whereas the arm of Lac du Bonnet owns the property legally described as in the northeast 34-15-12, roll number 1133000, and whereas the property has been leased to A and M Furchuk since 2018, and the lease is up for renewal for a 3-year term for foraging purposes. And whereas the lease was previously managed by the Community Development Corporation and is now drafted by the RM for management. Therefore, be it resolved, the Council of the Arm of Lac du Bonnet authorizes the Region Chief Administrative Officer to execute a 3-year foraging lease agreement for Arthur and Marilyn Furchuk for Northeast 34-15-10, roll number 11330.000 under the terms and conditions outlined in the agreement as presented to Council. Any questions at all, Council? We had a discussion on this.
Yeah, I think
we're following the municipal, actually the provincial guidelines in relation to this as well, just for some consistency and what they do for these types of agreements. So call for the vote. Those in favor? Aye, carried. Thank you. Couple more here. 14.1 is the council committee appointments, and that resolution is moved by Deputy Reed Manzik, seconded by Councillor Easton. Whereas the resignation of Violet Enns Preston as councillor has resulted in open board positions representing council. And whereas Community Futures Winnipeg River requires confirmation of the rural municipality of Lac du Bonnet committee representative for the 2026-2027 year. And whereas the Lac du Bonnet Community Center requires confirmation of the rural municipality of Lac du Bonnet's committee representative for the 2026-27 year. And whereas committee representative mileage to attend committee meetings is covered by the municipality through the arm of Lac du Bonnet indemnity bylaw. Therefore, be it resolved that council appoints Councillor Calendonk as a representative of Community Futures Winnipeg River Board of Directors for the upcoming term from April 15th to November 1st, 2026. And further be it resolved that council appoints Councillor Easton as the representative on the Lac du Bonnet Community Center Board of Directors for the upcoming term from April 15th to November 15th, 2026. And I'd like to thank you for volunteering for those positions. Council, thank you for that and your commitment to the community service. So I'll call for the vote. Those in favor? Aye, carried. Thank you. And I do have a meeting at 4 o'clock here that I have to get into a Zoom. So we'll just take a break from where our next point is 14.3 in the agenda. 14.2?
Yep.
Oh, 14.2. Well, we'll do that one then. And then we'll move on to 14.3. And that resolution is moved by, Deputy Reed Manzik, seconded by Councillor Easton. Whereas the resignation of Violet Enns Preston as councillor has resulted in an open board position representing council. And whereas the Lac du Bonnet Regional Library requires confirmation of the rural municipality of Lac du Bonnet's committee representative for the 2026-2027 year. And whereas committee representative mileage to attend committee meetings and covered by the municipality through the arm of Lac du Bonnet indemnity bylaw. Therefore, be it resolved that council appoints Deputy Reed Manzik as a representative in the Lac du Bonnet Regional Library Board for the upcoming term from April 15th to November 1st, 2026. Those in favor? Aye. Thank you again for accepting those appointments. We'll take a brief break here, 10-15 minutes, and we'll continue at 14.3. Okay, thank you. Thanks everybody for
recording in progress.
Oh, yeah. Sorry about that. They couldn't hear me on CBC, so I had to turn it up. They obviously didn't want your camera on. Sorry. This theory's pretty good, right?
Did you see us waving?
I did. What's going on here? Yeah.
Or yours?
Okay, apologies for that. And we're gonna move on to item number 14.3 is the approval of the Northern Municipal Northern Regional Project Contribution Agreement, and that resolution is moved by Deputy Reed Manzik and Councillor Kellendon. Whereas the Arm of Lac du Bonnet requested funding from the provincial government for airport renovations to enhance use and security. And whereas the province has approved funding to the Arm of Lac du Bonnet in the amount of 400,000 for this project. Therefore, be it resolved, the Council of the Arm of Lac du Bonnet authorizes the appropriate signing authorities of the RM of Lac du Bonnet to sign the Municipal and Northern Relations Project Contribution Agreement. And I just want to say that this has been a journey to get this type of funding model, and I talked a little bit about it before during our financial plan and earlier today. But I can't say that for the types of projects that we have ongoing, the municipality cannot do it by itself. We've reiterated this to the various ministers. I can't tell you the amount of discussions I've had. Obviously, they were paying attention when we were having those discussions. We forwarded them the master agreement, which we received through Stantec back in 2025. We've broken down those numbers to a much more manageable scope because the Stantec report contained some numbers that were totally in council's view unachievable. So this $400,000 will go a long ways. I recently had a discussion certainly with Minister Simard on this and thank him and Minister Naylor for that. And there's a memo in the correspondence file that we followed up on to the Premier, because we look forward to funding not only phase 1, but then phase 2 and phase 3 as we continue to move forward to the airport, regional airport becoming self-sustaining. And the development of the airport, as well as the ensuing businesses that develop there, are key economic drivers for us, certainly at a very high level, within the municipality, and we're very cognizant of that. So I want to thank the Regional Airport Authority Board too for putting forward resolutions. I know they're included in this because it's direction like that we continue to need and work in a collaborative fashion, not only from the Regional Airport Authority, but certainly the municipality, as well as then the provincial government. And we're also seeking some federal grant that recently came out. So there's a long-term development strategy that's going to be made public too from that airport under our land use policy, because we worked through that, but there needs to be something special specifically for that airport, the airport property that we're so fortunate to have. So any other comments from council?
No, other than this is great news.
Well, and it's not, most of the projects, residents need to understand, most of them are 50-50 funding. So when we hear about communities that get a $1.7 million grant for their airport, that municipality has to put up $1.7 million as well. And this is not like that. This is a $400,000 grant based on what we did. And when we did the master plan on this through Stantec, that we had received $74,000 for that as well, from the province to do that survey. So in essence, they gave us the ability to proceed in an orderly fashion to ask for funding like this. There has to be a plan and process. There has to be a mechanism that you can refer on to say, this is what we'd like to do. This is where we are now, and this is where we want to, and we'll keep the province appraised of this. I assure our ratepayers as we move forward on this. And we do have an RFP request for decision on the resolutions here later on in the meeting, but again, can't say enough. And the memos of thanks are there too for the information of the public in our correspondence side. So I'll call for the vote. Those in favor? Aye, Gary, thank you. 14.4 is the funding grant, the Wawanesa Mutual Insurance Company. And that resolution moved by Deputy Reed Mazick and seconded by Councillor Kellendorf, whereas the RM of Lac du Bonnet has requested funding from Wawanesa Community Wildfire Prevention Grants for a comprehensive wildfire urban interface, risk management and fire smart assessment. And whereas Wawanesa has approved funding to the RM of Lac du Bonnet in the amount of $20,000 for this project. Therefore, be it resolved, the Council of the RM of Lac du Bonnet authorize the appropriate signing authorities of the RM of Lac du Bonnet to enter an agreement with the Wawanesa Mutual Insurance Company. Again, this is something that was available. We have done a comprehensive and comprehensive review of our whole fire process, post-fire report, action report that we received certainly from our EMO. It's an excellent document. It lists all of the areas that we've looked at post-fire. We have an excellent program in place, but we're also looking at how can we improve that program and become more resilient, more effective when it comes to these types of tragedies. You know, we responded to a tragic event, you know, it's May 13th will never be forgotten, but at the end of the day, it's how can we be better prepared at what we need to do? And how can we work with the province in collaboration? How can we, you know, pass this information on through the chains to various other municipalities as well? And I would just ask that question on CBC, you know, 5 minutes ago, you know, in relation to Flin Flon and Thompson, and we're sharing this information province-wide. We do have on the 16th, we have an assessment again from the province, and we're working collaboratively with them because we learned a lot of things that we're passing on, and this whole independent assessment and risk mitigation and the Fire Smart program that we promoted so effectively will become part of that, and we'll continue to work you know, towards how can we become more efficient. So I'd just like to thank Wawanesa Mutual Insurance Company, and I know we're meeting with them tomorrow at the fire hall to accept the donation here. So it's great news again for our community and region. So I'll call for the vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, Carrie, thank you. 14.5 is going to be tabled. 14.6 is the credit card approvals. And that resolution is moved by Deputy Reed Mazick, seconded by Councillor Easton. Be it resolved, the Council hereby authorizes Access Credit Union MasterCards with the indicated limits for the following positions. The Chief Administrative Officer is $20,000, the Assistant CAO, $10,000, the Director of Public Works, $10,000, Public Works Project Manager, $10,000, the Finance Officer, $5,000, as well as the Fire Chief and the Deputy Fire Chief, both at $5,000. And this is in our policies as well. It's updating our policies in that regard. And further be it resolved that all purchases must be made in accordance with the RM of Lac du Bonnet credit card and procurement and tendering policy. Any questions at all? You want to speak to that?
Well, it's all laid out in the policy. There's certain things, certain limits every credit card or every officer of the RM can go up to. And after that, there's approval mechanisms built in also, so it's all, and obviously receipts and everything else, but it's time that these credit cards sort of moved up with the times also, so.
Yeah, and there's been some changes in the positions here, and that's what has necessitated this as well.
Yeah, it's mainly just an adjustment to the current position titles and the limits haven't changed.
Right.
Except for the addition of the.
Must have missed that first one then.
I'll call for the vote. Those in favor? Aye, carried, thank you. 14.7 is the credit card policy amendment. And that resolution is moved by Deputy Reed Mazick, seconded by Councillor Easton. Be it resolved, the Council hereby adopts the amended credit card policy as presented to Council. Those in favor? Aye, carried, thank you. 14.8 is the transfer of the outstanding utilities to tax roll, and that resolution is moved by Deputy Reed Mazick, seconded by Councillor Kellendorf. Be it resolved that the RM of Lac du Bonnet authorize the following outstanding amounts pertaining to non-payment of the Brookfield utility accounts to be added to the tax roll before the next penalty date. And the roll numbers there, as noted, 135,000, 138,042, 1403000, 1406, 13461,800, 1346500, 1835250, and the noted amounts. And they'll be added to the appropriate tax roll as noted. Call for the vote. Those in favor? Aye, carried. Thank you. 14.9 is the Lac du Bonnet Airport projects, and that resolution is moved by Councillor Kellerman, seconded by Deputy Yuri Manzik.
I gotta take a break.
I think he's gonna need more water. I've read these a number of times, so. Whereas the Lac du Bonnet Regional Airport Authority and the rural municipality of Lac du Bonnet are jointly responsible for the operation, safety, security, and development of the Lac du Bonnet Regional Airport. And whereas the arm of Lac du Bonnet and the Lac du Bonnet Regional Airport Authority received the Stantec Airport Master Plan in 2025, which identified key infrastructure projects and strategic priorities to support the future growth of the Lac du Bonnet Regional Airport. And whereas the master plan provides high-level project direction and was used to support requests for funding assistance from the provincial government. And whereas the province announced in March 2026 budget the provision of grant funding in the amount of 400,000 for phase 1 projects at the Lac du Bonnet Regional Airport. And whereas the Lac du Bonnet Regional Airport Authority has passed 4 resolutions on March 25th, 2026, numbers 1179, 1180, 1181, and 1182, respecting airport infrastructure development and security requirements. And whereas the Lac du Bonnet Regional Airport Authority has received and reviewed recommendations from Municipal Public Works respecting required survey adjustments and infrastructure improvements within the airport lands. And whereas survey modifications are required to lots H21 to H25 to accommodate relocation of survey pins to the north and west to support installation of a 50-foot electric gate and alignment with required ditching along Hobo Lane. And whereas additional survey work is required and desired to support future airport development, including potential expansion of leasable hangar lots towards Apollo Drive, inclusion of southern commercial lots C1, C2, and C3, and the establishment of additional development parcels. And whereas lots H21 to H25 have already been leased and hangar construction is pending, creating a need for timely infrastructure and access coordination. And whereas aircraft parking and storage capacity at the airport has become an operational safety concern, requiring relocation and development of designated aircraft storage and tie-down facilities in the southwest portion of the airport. And whereas tenders were received in 2025 for the installation of 8-foot perimeter fencing along Hobo Lane and the south side of Powell Drive, and these works are intended to enhance airport security and compliance with applicable NAV Canada requirements. And whereas improved airport access, safety, and operational efficiency require consideration of taxiway extension northward, potential extensions past lot C1 to C3, and realignment towards the conservation facility. Therefore, be it resolved that the arm of Lac du Bonnet Council hereby approves the request of the Lac du Bonnet Regional Airport Authority to proceed with the resurvey of lots H21 to H25 to accommodate required boundary adjustments and infrastructure needs. And further be it resolved that council approves the expansion of the survey areas towards Powell Drive and to include southern commercial lots C1, C2, and C3 for the purpose of establishing additional leasable hangar and development lots. And further be it resolved, the council approves the extension of the north taxiway to provide access to expanded hangar areas and directs administration and public works to further assess and implement where feasible additional extension past southern lots C1 to C3 and realign towards the conservation facility to improve operational safety and efficiency. And further be it resolved, the council approves the implementation of the proposed airport security improvements, including installation of 8-foot commercial perimeter fencing along Hobo Lane and the south side of Powell Drive and the installation of a 50-foot electric gate on Hobo Lane. And further be it resolved, the council approves the relocation, surveying, development, and numbering of aircraft storage and parking tie-downs in the southwest portion of the airport to address capacity and safety requirements. And further be it resolved, the council authorizes the Public Works Department to proceed with the planning and implementation of the noted projects. And further be it resolved that funding in the amount of up to $246,000 as approved in the 2026 financial plan be allocated from the airport reserve to support survey work, fencing and gate insulation, aircraft tie-down development, and taxiway expansion to Mobile Lane. And further be it resolved that council acknowledge the total cost of the full taxiway expansion may exceed $246,000, with the remaining cost to be funded through the provincial grant in the amount of $400,000 received for phase 1 airport infrastructure project. Thank you. There we are. This is a very exciting time, truly it is. And you know what, there's a lot of moving parts going on at the airport to make it self-sustaining. This is part of that. The more development there, the more taxes we receive. Council's got some tough decisions to make here in conjunction with the Regional Airport Authority. We do have a meeting coming up here where we're working our way through many adjustments in the fee schedule there. And I can say as an example, there's airports, if you don't have a hangar at St. Andrews, you don't park an aircraft there. People are very fortunate to have that ability here, but you know, we can't go back to our residents to subsidize the airport. It needs to become self-sustaining, and we recognize that as a council. And this is that step into the right direction here. And as I told Minister Samard, we'll be back for phase 2, and you can count on it. So, but we're moving in the right direction here because there's some very well-paid, high-paying jobs, and there's a number of businesses that I know of that are just chomping at the bit here to come here and establish, at the airport, which will be great for economic development in our region. So I'm going to call for the vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. 1410 is the Manitoba Economic Summit attendance. And this is something that we recently came across here. And that resolution is moved by Deputy Reid Manzik, seconded by Councilor Easton. Be it resolved that council authorize the read of the arm of Lac du Bonnet Economic Development Officer Adam Mondor to attend the Manitoba Chamber of Commerce Economic Summit Conference on April 30th, May 1st in Steinbach, Manitoba, at a registration cost of $200 per person plus hotel and mileage as per the indemnity bylaw. Again, this is an excellent agenda there. I've seen the agenda. Ministers are going to be there, and it provides an opportunity again for us to be on that economic forefront. And certainly we all know how passionate and the abilities of our EDO when it comes to this. So we'll just turn her loose in the crowd there. You never know what will happen. I can just sit down and watch. Can you imagine that?
Oh, I can't.
No, she does a fabulous job when you talk about passion for economic development.
Yeah,
She's
amazing.
when you look at a dictionary for passion and you'll see her picture there. Truly, you know what? We were blessed to have her here. So I'll call for the vote. Those in favor? Aye. Terry, thank you.
It'll be the Polish dictionary.
Yeah. Okay, 15.1 is bylaw. That's the tax bylaw and financial plan second reading. And that resolution is moved by Deputy Reid Manzik, seconded by Councilor Easton. Be it resolved that bylaw number 01-26, tax levy bylaw and financial plan be hereby given second reading. Those in favor? Aye. Carried, thank you. 15.2 is the tax bylaw and third and final reading, and that resolution is moved by Councilor Easton, seconded by Councilor Kellendorf. Be it resolved that bylaw number 01-26, tax levy bylaw and financial plan being a bylaw to establish and provide 2026 tax levy be hereby given third and final reading, signed by the Reid and the Chief Administrative Officer and sealed with the municipal seal. This is a recorded vote.
Recorded vote, yeah.
Right. Call for the vote. Those in favor? Aye. Very, thank you. 15.3 is the electoral candidate use of municipal resources bylaw, and with the pending election process coming this fall. This is part of that process. Let's update our bylaws and such. And that resolution is moved by Deputy Reid Manzik, seconded by Councilor Easton. Be it resolved that bylaw number 0426, electoral candidate use of municipal resources bylaw being a bylaw of the rural municipality of Lac du Bonnet to establish rules and procedure for the use of municipal resources during the 42-day period before a general election or a bylaw, and to repeal bylaw number 0222 be hereby given third and final reading. And again, this is a recorded vote. All right. Those in favor? Aye. Carried. Thank you. 15.4 is the fee and charges bylaws. This is the second reading. And that resolution is moved by Deputy Reid Manzik, seconded by Councilor Easton. Be it resolved that bylaw number 0824 fee and charges bylaw, second amendment, being a bylaw of the rural municipality of Lac du Bonnet, to revise and update the fees payable to the rural municipality of Lac du Bonnet bylaw for municipal services rendered under the authority of the Manitoba Municipal Act, the Planning Act, the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act, and the bylaws of the municipality, and to repeal bylaw number 0616 and bylaw number 0412, 04-12, and amend bylaw number 0824, be hereby given second reading. And we're just updating all of our fees and rate schedules here. This is just, you know, corporate business, I guess you could tell it. We've got to stay ahead of the curve. We're still evaluating, and we talked about it earlier today. You know, our transfer fees and our tipping fees and all of those things as well, and looking at all of those numbers. So I know Public Works is doing some more analysis there, bringing that back to council as well. So, any questions at all on this, council? I call for the vote. Those in favor? Aye. Carried. Thank you. 15.6 is the appointment of the fire chief, the third and final reading, and the deputy chiefs, and that resolution is moved by Councillor Kellendon, second by. Did we miss something? Did I miss something?
We did,
15.5?
Let's do third reading. I thought we were supposed, did we do third reading?
oh, yeah, sorry, thank you.
15.5?
Yeah.
Right, okay, third and final reading, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that resolution is moved by Deputy Reed Manzik, seconded by Councillor Easton. Be it resolved that bylaw number 0824 fee and charges bylaw, second amendment, being a bylaw to revise and update the fees payable to the rural municipality of Lac du Bonnet for municipal services rendered under the authority of the Manitoba Municipal Act, the Planning Act, the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act, and the bylaws of the municipality, and to repeal bylaw number 0616 and bylaw number 04-12 and amend bylaw number 0824 amended, be hereby given third and final reading, signed by the Reeve and the Chief Administrative Officer and sealed with the municipal seal. And this again is a recorded vote on it.
Yes.
Okay, I'll call for the vote. Those in favor? Aye, carried. Thank you. Now we'll move on to 15.6. And that resolution is moved by Deputy Reeve Manzik, seconded by Councillor Easton. Be it resolved that bylaw number 0326, appoint fire chief and deputy fire chiefs bylaw, being a bylaw to appoint a fire chief and deputy fire chiefs, and to repeal bylaw 2310, and that's an old one, be hereby given third and final reading, signed by the Reeve and the Chief Administrative Officer and sealed with the municipal seal. Right?
Yeah. I'm ready.
Any discussions, council? Call for the vote. Those in favor? Aye, carried. Thank you. 15.7 is the designated officer bylaw. And this is all part of, I'll talk to it after, but that resolution is moved by Deputy Reeve Manzik, seconded by Councillor Kellendon. Be it resolved that bylaw number 0526, designated officers bylaw, being a bylaw of the municipality of Lac du Bonnet, to appoint designated officers of the municipality and to repeal bylaw 10-23, be hereby given first reading. Those in favor? Aye. Designated officer second reading, and that resolution is moved by Councillor Kellendon, seconded by Councillor Easton. Be it resolved that bylaw number 0526, designated officers bylaw, be hereby given second reading. And this is in relation to the designated officers that have the authority to enforce our bylaws. Much like Prairie bylaw, they're designated, all of those things, our building inspector, it goes down.
Yeah, enforcing bylaws, signing agreements.
Right, all of those. Call for the vote. Those in favor? Aye, carried. Thank you. Report 16.1 is the March Management Security Awareness Training, the March 2026 report, the monthly building and demolition report, the recreation report from March, the service tracker reports from March and the year to date. Committee minutes, we have the Northeast Red Watershed District. On the communication side, we have the Interlake Eastern Regional Health Authority, Family Doctor Finder. The Association of Manitoba Municipalities bulletins on the provincial update on the 2025 Wildfire Seasonal Provincial After Action Review, AAR, that we're part of, certainly. 18.3 is my letter to Minister Naylor on the speed reduction, just closing the loop on some of the things we talked about earlier today. 18.4 is the letter to Premier Canoe on the, thanks for the Lac du Bonnet Airport funding grant and recognizing certainly his ministries, Minister Naylor, as well as Minister Smart from Municipal and Northern Relations. 18.5 is the Community Futures Winnipeg River Volunteer of the Year Award in the Spring News. We have 18.6 is the Eastman Tourism. This is the Eastman Tourism Outdoor Show, which is going to be here in May 30th and 31st. This is a show that was here a couple of years in a row. And unfortunately, the individual that put that on passed away. So it sort of, went into remission. We've resurrected that show. It brings a lot of people. We're looking at the community center, the curling rink, as well as the arena, for venues, and it'll all be about the outdoor and our great community here. We're actually having a golf symposium in the curling rink, which will specifically be dedicated to our regional golf courses to highlight what we have in the Eastman region. And then certainly all of our key industries and the businesses here in the community as well, in regards to outdoor activities. 18.7, a letter from the Honorable Glenn Samard for the municipal operating support. And that brings us.
Before we close out, can I just,
Absolutely.
depends on the communications and the Dr. Finder, this is something that keeps coming up again and again because there's a lot of individuals in the community that are having a hard time connecting with the doctor, and I encourage residents to use this as it's very effective in helping to connect doctors. We had fluidity in our doctor staffing right now. We've got an increase in Beausejour. We're going to be having an addition here next spring. And Pine Falls has got more stabilization with their doctors and nurse practitioners. So did we, Declan, did we post this on our website or could we?
We can, but we did share it on social media already.
Okay, if this will be something that goes out a couple of times because it still is a big issue that's being brought forward to the health committee.
I'll find a spot for it on our website.
Okay, thank you. And the other thing I just wanted to mention was the Community Futures Volunteer of the Year. If anybody knows any deserving volunteer out in the community, please nominate them. This is quite an achievement, and they're presented with an award for their efforts and invited to the AGM, which is in June.
Also, I just want to say that our EMO personnel have been the recipients of the volunteer award through the Association of Manitoba Municipalities, and we'll be presented with that at the end of the month in Winnipeg. Very deserving award again for, all of the people that are involved in that EMO program and work so diligently to get us through all of this. That recognition continues to come in. I know that today Mr. Fleming was talking to BON about wildfire mitigation and some of the things that we have in our program. So it continues that exchange of information, certainly in many areas. So hearing nothing further, we will move to adjourn the meeting, and that is moved by Councillor Easton, seconded by Deputy Randwick. Be it resolved that the regular council meeting of April 10th, 2026 be hereby adjourned at 4:50 p.m. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, carried. Thank you. Thanks for sitting through this, gentlemen.